open models available there. Sanjay and Vijay both talked about these open models which are available there, open weight or open source models. NVIDIA also provides the models. We also provide open data. Use some of them. I'm not saying use only NVIDIA and deploy them. And my recommendation is path B for us now, so that we can be at par with the globe or at par with the other neighboring states who are already started deploying. Yeah. So the first recommendation, building the AI factories. Don't fragment the scarcity commodities there or electricities there, which is power, which is balance, which is utilization of funds and the resources. So there are three types or three ways you can build AI factories. The first one is, there are a lot of cloud providers who are investing on creating these capacities. You can go and take them, and if you want to be sovereign, probably you can look at the one which is built and served from our soils. The second one is ring-fenced data center. Karnataka is also supporting people to come and invest here on building up data centers. Go and take those data center spaces, either rent it out or lease it out, or take it on lease and fill with your own compute. The third way, obviously, which is required for your sensitive data or sensitive application, which you cannot, for legislation reasons, put out, use your own data centers and fill it out. The next important thing, I spoke about creating base models. The base models which can be further trained onto domain models and which can be further used to serve the agents or the users. There are three things which you need to look at. The first, before the three things, the input is select a foundation model which is rightly suited for you. We can discuss out how do you select the base model. Those of you interested, we have experts who can come and help you out on that. Select the base model, the available open models. I'm not going to say base model, open models or open source models. Create a data factory of your own data, your own Indic data, your own local data. Create a pool of researchers for research and evaluation, for fine-tuning, or for changing the weights of those models if it's required, removing the biases on that or adding biases on that as appropriate, right? Selecting the right model which suits to you, and create a pre-trained base model. First step. The second step is use the experts, domain experts. If you want to implement it for agriculture, if you want to implement it for the transportation, if you want to implement it for anything, whether anything, any domain. It could be even the domains within your governance. Use those experts to create the applications on that. Then, more importantly, you need to have as AI token factory, or in the simple English, a serving model. A serving model which serves to the agents in the front. Agents are the applications which you are deploying today on your devices, where you prompt or you ask your queries, you converse with that. Those need to be served by a single application on the backend or multiple applications on the backend, which may be hosted at multiple types of data centers or within that multiple data centers. So you need to have a serving layer. There is no point in going out and bringing that serving model back to you if you want an autonomy on that. Next page. The token serving layer I just spoke about, our recommendation is create a serving model which can be used as a shared model and can be given to the entrepreneurs there, and obviously used for government to serve for the population scale deployments. Before I move on to the next recommendation, one of the challenges is the data availability. There's a very interesting statistics here. Just give an analogy, for a 100 billion parameters training, people had to use, the organization used about 20 trillion tokens, and if you have to train a 1 trillion parameter model, you require almost 60 trillion tokens. And today, the model builders in India are generating about 1 to 2 trillion tokens at the best. So just multiply the number of them there and look at the shortage. If the number can be, some of the things says globally it's about just a 0.5%, but it could be, even if you say it's 1%, 2%, it's again pretty low to get the accuracy level my colleagues spoke about. Like this. So important, learning from that, you need to create a data factory which can create the data from the original data to create synthetic data, to curate the data, to make it available for the AI model builders, researchers, the developers, and entrepreneurs, and of course for the corporate. The last recommendation is scaling. Our recommendation is government should really look at how do we empower those higher education institutions with AI labs where they have hands-on experience of building, deploying, or even fine-tuning to domains, and a small a replica of the factory, at least they come out with ready for the industry so that we can bridge the gap of those skills requirements and get AI deployment pretty easily. And also, this is the area where Karnataka can excel on and become a leader of providing AI skilling for the nation, for the state, and obviously for the people. And one more observation which I has interacted with multiple states and looking at the data policy, the data center policies. My only request or recommendation to every state, including Karnataka, is that let us not get into the era of 80s, 90s. If you just look back, what did we do? We created a policy for people to excel a business on IT or IT-enabled services. But slowly, as a decade went by, what happened is all those organizations which created the IT services or IT resourcing by the manpower, they started exporting this because dollar is always sweeter than rupee. But that created two issues. One, ability to get those services in India for us, for our consumption. And second thing, availability of resources and talents within the country. And third, very importantly, we paid a huge price for a couple of decades now for importing those applications and those services back into the country for our own consumption. So in the data center policy also, while it's pretty good to, we must invest investors to come and spend their money here to build up these services for the globe, but we must also ensure that on a reciprocation for the incentives you give, probably reserve a capacity, because remember what I showed in my 5 layers slide. The important element is power. Once you start giving it out, it is not that you can double it up or triple it up within a short time. And so if you reserve, you can use it for consumption for your own state, your own services. And just to give a mathematical thing, just imagine every person in this Karnataka, I'm not even talking about the citizens, every person in Karnataka has to use one agent every time he touches his device. And it has to be transacted in Karnataka. It has to be transacted from the AI data center from Karnataka. Look at the capacity you require. So this is one of my recommendations, to have a reserved capacity in the reciprocation to the incentive. And last but this is my slide. Those of you are looking at adopting AI, implementing AI, want to know how to get in there, how to size it, what should be my best practice to adopt AI to my workload, or my department's workload, or my consumer's workload. There are many blueprints which have been put up there in our website, build.nvidia.com. You can go and have a look at them, freely download. Some of them have got embedded models, pre-trained models, data. You can use them the way you want. you can always write back to us. And I've also added in my backup slides about 10 to 15 use cases of the public sector use cases where AI got deployed. There's a link on every page, every slide, where you can go and read about that if you want more details. And with that, I thank you. Thank you, the government of Karnataka team for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, sir, for those insights. So, is there anyone who wants to ask any questions? Yes, I request now Manoj Kumar Meena sir to please give them a token of gratitude. Yes, sir, please.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker will discuss on how generative AI is creating new opportunities for government to improve citizens' engagement and public service delivery. May I invite Shri Sachin Pachori, AI Specialist Google, to address the gathering.
Namaskara, good morning. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And I've been told to kind of finish in 10 to 15 minutes, so I'll try to do it. Just to quickly introduce myself, I am Sachin Pachori. Neither I have worked in a public sector, neither I have a team of 1,000 people, but my role is to work very closely with the state government and drive the AI initiative at Google. And I'll try to keep it very use case driven rather than technology driven. And AI for governance. Before I dive deep into this topic, Karnataka has always been in the forefront of the technology and innovation. And we believe that it's a right opportunity for us to get into the next leap of technology, which is by leveraging generative AI and artificial intelligence and embedding this across various departments to make the services more citizen-centric. Move to next slide. So I'll try to kind of spend 2 minutes each on these 5 agenda points what we have. Obviously, we have around 200 plus use cases for 35 plus departments, which are kind of actively working with 15 different states, right? Few are in the productions, few are in the early stage, few are in the pilot. I'll try to cover very specific few sectors and obviously the few citizen-centric services which we have been rolled out and which we are working very closely with the few of the state government. Next slide. Before I dive deep into the use cases, and most of the details which are here, most of us knows about this. The vision what we have is Karnataka could become India's first AI native state. And why we believe it? It's because we have technology, we have right pool of talent, we have a thriving startup ecosystems, we are ranked 14 globally, and we have the right intent from the government, the budget allocated for various AI initiative. And when you combine technology, ecosystem, talent pool, and the intent, that's where you get a platform where you can leverage technology like AI and generative AI to embed this into various departments to make it more citizen-centric. Moving to the next step, which is naturally, what would it take to become AI first state? The first state in India is moving from e-governance to I-governance. The e-governance basically is digitalizing a lot of services, which Karnataka has done long back. We have Seva Sindhu, we had Bhumi, we had Sakala, where we have leveraged and digitalized a lot of process. Someone spoke about a facial recognition which has been implemented, which is a fantastic. But does it solve all of the problems? In few extent it might, in few extent it doesn't. What I mean to say is, let's say today a government officer still reads a lot of 40, 50, 60 pages of document. Earlier it was paper, now it's on digital. The idea here is how we can bring intelligence on end. And what bridges the gap is around 3 things. One is having a strong data foundation. For any AI initiative, a strong data foundation is a cornerstone. And we have worked with various government, we are actively working to create a consolidated data set for, let's say, for our citizens, for our various departments, where the data can be accessed, is available at a single repository. We know data in silos across various departments in some form or shape which are not very standardized. So the first layer is about bringing the data standardizations, which is creating a strong data foundation. There's a very famous saying, if you put garbage in, the garbage comes out, right? So the AI will give the efficiency, accuracies better if the data on which we are building the systems is correct. The data has doesn't have an anomalies. That has been the primary reason. Second, I think a lot of people talk about the security, the transparent ecosystem, the biases, building a responsible AI ecosystem, and with the human in loop. Third is having an infrastructure which could be trusted, like what we have from Google Cloud, where our more than 7 services touches 2 billion plus people globally, right? If you have an infrastructure that could be trusted at that scale, this is what, and today we need the 3 steps which I spoke to move from e-governance to I-governance. And the problems in use cases could be many of them, as I said, right? As simple as accessing. Today, citizen has to go to various departments, has to go to various websites to kind of find a very specific information. Second is how we can improve the productivity of officer. Third is everything is how can we make everything proactive in real time, right? Which is on the monitoring, which is the third, which I mentioned here is oversight. Fourth is a reach. Service should reach citizens. Citizens should not come for a service. What are the schemes? What are the policies which citizens could avail? Can we kind of build a real-time systems which can send the notifications to the citizens if they are if they apply for a specific service? With that, I'll kind of move to the use cases, and we have picked a few of the use cases which have gone live or are in move above the pilot phase, and we are ready to roll out at a state level. Number is an AI-enabled search bar for government websites, and typically problem which I spoke about, can we have a common GenAI-enabled search system for all government websites for citizen, and can it be, let's say, in a voice instead of a text? So what I mean to say is, can there be a single platform or a website, could be an application on your phone, where a citizen of a Karnataka wants to search anything, right? And it could be as he's talking to the neighbor, right? Around the street, around the policies, pension. You put the detail, it automatically gives the answer from all the website. Again, this data will be cited and grounded. When I say cited and grounded, it will not generate the data which is not there in the government documents. It will not generate the data on its own, which is the grounding of data with the sources which are already from the public websites of Government of Karnataka. This is something which we have moved in production with one of the state, and this could be done for the for the various department, for the various officers also. It's not only for citizen. Like we are working with another government to have entire data of last 100 years available in a single portal for specific department, and with the guardrails that a department officer of one cannot see the data of other department, right? And obviously it can be made publicly available if it's required. And then there is a workflow where if it has to be made publicly available, who has to approve it, how has to approve it, and there is an auditing trial. Right? That's the number one use case. Second is on AI-enabled grievance classification. So a lot of times what we hear that the grievance request has gone to the wrong department, then it's get rejected, citizen has to kind of do it again. And can we build a automate classification citizen, where citizen log in with his Aadhaar number and with a mobile number and OTP, and the citizen doesn't have to write. It could be a voice enabled. If we have built the citizen data, it auto fills most of the form. A lot of times the forms what citizen fills, there are incorrect data, it is going to incorrect department. And these are very specific smaller use cases, not a groundbreaking use cases, but these are the few things which we have seen from a lot of states which they want to work with us to roll out at a production level, and obviously supported with the various language. Our Gemini models support 13 plus Indian languages. Again, though it's open source, frontier, there are various ways of deploying it. I'll not much get into the technology side of it, but everything is available in the way, in the size and shape you want to deploy it. Third is very again simple, AI-enabled tender evolution. If you look at now, most of the times, people are reading around 100 pages of tender, where we need a specific metrics from this tenders itself, right? Now we are not trying to build a system where AI will take a judgment. There will be always human in loop. What we are trying to do is, can this specific automated system do a basic OCR and pull the very critical technical parameters, compliance, the financials of the bidders, and then let the government officers, employees spend time on the judgment rather than just extracting this. So very, very simple use case, but there's something which has already been in production with the 3 states. If you could move to the next. And various use cases for AI assistant for police. Few of our esteemed speaker did speak about it, which is a traffic violation, and everything seamlessly integrates with the cameras, what is already there, and you can do a localized alert, detailed identifications, hardware compatibility is there depending upon what cameras, what IPs do you use, predictive policing. So these are the few use cases which we are actively working with around 4+ states on AI assistant for the police. Move to the next. And second, on the education, we have seen the intent and budget allocated already. We've heard about someone talking about AI university, rural university, AI personal tutor. This is the area where we are seeing a lot of the governments are actively reaching out to us, because it has a less dependency on the data, the old data, right? Because the education is something where we need to work towards 3 or 4 important use cases. One is interactive learning material. If there is an NCERT book, and we have a tool called Notebook LM, and the reason I'm bringing this up is we are working with one of the government where that tool allow you to put a specific book in any language, and the moment you put it, it has 4 or 5 options. It can create a podcast in any language. You put a book, NCERT book in English, and you tell, I want to make this NCERT learning chapter 1 of biology in Kannada in podcasting. So there are 2 people who will actually start podcast, and there is a feature where you can stop and ask them a question, and they're gonna use our models to reason and answer to in whatever language you want, right? That's just one of the example. So assistant learning is something, interactive learning is something which we are seeing a number 1 use cases. Second is around obviously 24/7 virtual teacher assistant. We know the teacher to students ratios are very less. We are, absolutely, this could be a very, very important use cases where a student, depending upon what journey he is in, every student is different, every student has a different way of learning, and can there be a 24/7 virtual teacher assistant which can do a handwriting verification, which can kind of create an assessment, question and answer, quiz, depending upon what level is he. If he's weak in biology or maths, then the assessment or exams would be little bit less tougher for him in that subject. So very, very easy use cases, not a groundbreaking use cases, but this is something what we are seeing is the need of hour, because we need to start small. We cannot go all in and just try to change everything. So very important use cases on education, which we are working closely with, I think 7+ different states. And third is on public healthcare. And what we believe is artificial intelligence and generative AI especially is just not only making our life easy by summarizing it, doing a chatting, doing a classification, but it's making a lot of impact in healthcare. And I just want to give an example. Our Google's DeepMind team in 2024 was awarded Nobel Prize in chemistry. And the reason was they developed a model called AlphaFold 2, which solved the problem which did not solve in last 50 years, was predicting the 3D structure of protein by looking at a sequence of amino acid. And why it's such a remarkable thing was it took almost 50 years and this problem was still not solved. And how it's helping is helping the scientists, researchers to do faster drug discovery, doing a lot of research in specific medicines. So that's the impact what AI can make around healthcare. We are seeing in lot of initiatives. I was reading last evening that it is doing a lot of detection in breast cancer, right? A lot of technologies, lot of universities, researchers going in US for specifically how can we leverage AI in the breast cancer, and obviously there are a lot of other diseases which AI is actively being tested to see how it can make impact. And again, and we all know, right, there are a lot of challenges and opportunity doctors, specialized doctor, not general doctor, to the rural area faster. We know we have a very less of specialized doctor, and to reach to rural areas. So remote healthcare, drug discovery, how many times the patient has gone through this specific disease. It just speeds up the thing, right? So I'm not trying to get into the lot of in-depth detail about what are the cloud solution in action, but the top 3-4 you see here is AI-powered diagnostic, predictive healthcare, personalized medicines, and telemedicines platform. Just go to next. And again, this is our own open source model, MedGemma, which suggests the input modalities. When I say input modality, this is what input it can take it, and it's a little bit different from the normal models, which is for a classic text, audio, video. It's basically a clinical AI-driven foundational model. It's except the modality is in radiology, dermatologies, pathologies, and it's an open source. You can deploy in your own infrastructure. It's available as a service through our Google Cloud platform. And again, most of the use cases which we spoke about, you can leverage this model for most of the use cases. And sorry, I'm going a little bit fast because of the time, but yeah. And there are a bunch of use cases what we are actively working on the disaster management. The Google Earth currently have 85, the Google Earth engine have around 85 plus petabytes of data. And a state government can use this data, it's already into the Google Cloud, just to query rather than commission it. So they are, like for a flood analysis, optical imagery doesn't work when it's cloudy, right? What you need is a satellite images, right? You can do the flood analysis using the Sentinel-1 SAR. You can use a deforestation analysis using a classic Hansen GFC data. And this data is already hosted on us, and it natively, seamlessly integrate with our entire stack of AI, ML, and visualization services. And something similar on the agriculture side, if you could move to the next slide. It's basically creating an agriculture landscape understanding using the same images. And how it can really help, when you have the entire agriculture landscape understanding, you can use this data as a base layer to give to a lot of thriving startup ecosystem who are building a very good solutions around it, right? Right now, the data is the number one challenge. The data is in silos. We don't have the data in the digital format. If we can leverage this Google Engine Earth data, which we talked about, right? Then it unlocks so many of value proposition across various of the use cases. And just to give one use cases, if you could move to the next slide, is on creating a monitoring platform, right? If you have this data, then you can just work with few of the very good startups who are working very closely with Google on the agriculture department, where you can just look at the crop acreage, crop health, create a crop indexes, can kind of work with the farmers on the weather forecastings and let them know in the alert. And again, right, there are a lot of use cases around the farmer side, where someone from the PwC, I think he was mentioning about what fertilizer to use, how to use, are they contaminated or not. This is something which is, these are the use cases which are pretty much possible with the AI. And we are working closely with we have started doing a pilot with one of the state government on various use cases on agriculture, right? Again, land parcel classification, so many of use cases, and I'm happy to connect with a lot of you offline if there are any specific use cases which you have in mind and you want our teams to work on it and help you develop it. And as I said, right, because of the limitation of time, I could not cover so many of use cases, but we're actively working with around 15, 16 plus states with 35 departments on 200 plus use cases, right? And we see these are the value proposition of various AI use cases, right? And I'll not just go in most of them. Few I spoke is a voice-enabled AI assistant, smart resource planning, intelligent AI-driven policy intelligence, right? These are the foundation use cases which will have a larger impact in the long term, right? And inclusive governance is one of that, integrated civic operation. So wanted to just give you an overview with the limited time. What I had is on the value propositions for those AI use cases. And very, very important thing for the government, at least AI is just not about innovation, just not about technology, it's about the trust, right? Because the impacts are higher. And what we believe is there are, and a lot of gentlemen before me spoke very well on the transparency, security, auditing, right? Our Google Cloud is MITI impaneled, and we are aligned to DPDP. I mean, the idea here is to put this slide is we have a food audit trail. Whatever decisions, interaction, prompt, response which has come, this should be tracked at every level, right? Human in loop, which people spoke about it earlier. The agent security or a model security, you have a right guardrails. Then data protection, which is aligned to DPO from where it came, right? Because we don't want to, for specific sensitive data, we don't want the data to be AI generated. Data should be grounded on the documents or the details what we share. And I'm sure most of you would see when you use ChatGPT, there is a citation 1-2. When you click it, it actually tells from where this has been taken. Then contain prompt safeguard, which is basically support the incident investigations. One is to protect it, other is once the incident has happened, how we can diagnose it. And then model choice, right? I think a lot of gentlemen spoke about the model, the open source, closed source, open weight models. The good thing about Google is we give you flexibility, freedom, choice. If you want open source, deploy in your own infrastructure, we have our Gemma models. Or if you want to use the frontier models like Gemini, India region, so the entire ML processing happens within India, right? The entire data residency is supported because entire models, the Gemini models are hosted in India. And just last couple of slides on why Google, right? And as I spoke about our Google DeepMind team, Google DeepMind team was the one who released the paper in 2017 called Transformer Architecture. And this entire models are built on this architecture called Transformer Architecture, right? And a lot of people keep asking us if Google was the one who built this, who released this paper, Transformer Architecture, why they were not the first one to release the models, right? And our answer is we have a bigger responsibility. We have 7 different products serving 2 billion plus people globally, right? So we have a lot of things before we can release anything at such a scale, right? So, and that's the trust, what we have built within this ecosystem. And this entire infrastructure models are battle tested, right? At a battle tested at a scale of 2 billion, 4 billion, right? Everyone uses Google, Gmail, YouTube, right? So just the last slide, what we do is we work very closely with the partners like our PwC, Deloitte, and many more of them, right? We do a lot of assessments. We do assessments of your data readiness. We do assessment of your AI-specific use cases. And then we have our expert teams who work with you to build the co-pilot. What we talk about is building a sandboxing environment, trying to see what can get wrong, right? How we measures the ROI. Once we do this exercise for over a period of a month and quarter, and then we build on top the intelligence layer on top of it so that we can deploy it at a large scale layer. So that's about it. Thank you so much for your time. I'm happy to take any questions if you have, or over to you guys here.
Thank you, sir, for outlining what Karnataka can adopt from successful public sector AI models. I request Tulsi Madini Madam to please give him a token of gratitude. Sir. We will now adjourn for a short tea break. The tea has been arranged outside the auditorium. This will also provide us an opportunity to interact with our speakers. So we will resume at 11:15 sharp. So I request everyone to be seated a few minutes